Hello. It looks like you caught me in front of the looks like you caught me in front of the fire. Now. So today, I want to tell you a little story. This is a campaign that I've been working on and that is done already, and I wanted to share it as a story. We are currently in part 2 of this story, but this is all of part 1. And I thought it would be very interesting to put in a story way, as opposed to it just being in our memories. I'm going to upload very small portions of it at a time, so that way I can send it off to the players who most likely have a better memory than I. So without further ado, let's get into the Pokerus outbreak. It's been about 30 years in the future. Johto has progressed. It has progressed a lot. We are introduced to our first player character, Frankie. She is in schooling currently. As part of her schooling, she was sent over to the Johto Zoo. The Johto Zoo claims to have some of the last Pokemon of each species. Mostly the Persians, they believe, that are the last of their kind. The Pokerus virus has claimed nearly all of the other ones, but the ones in the zoo have been well taken care of and maintained throughout the years. Frankie, the player character, along with Yucca, her friend, decide to go and see the water type exhibit, which was supposed to have a Marill and a Totodile. However, there seems to be a hole in the fence. Both of the Pokemon have escaped. So Frankie and Yucca decide to look around for these Pokemon, finding them just outside of the zoo's borders. The Marill, later named Mary, seems alright. However, the Totodile is where things get interesting. He's foaming at the mouth, eyes bloodshot, jerky movements left and right. The zoo staff is confused and barely knows what to do. Frankie decides then to keep Marill and name it Mary, as I have stated earlier. This, of course, was after a battle between Marill and the Totodile. And from here, we learn about the new battle mechanics. While this isn't necessarily part of the story, it is very interesting to know as it encapsulates some of the actions of others. The Pokemon combat system within this homebrew, if you will, is purely based on how much the Pokemon seems to like you or how good you are at giving orders. There was a single stat that was assigned at the very beginning of the game, which essentially says how well you can command others. This variable can be altered in different ways, be it if you've been with this Pokemon for a long time, then they'll be more likely to listen to you. If they have been obtained in a strange way in the games, we can attribute this to trading in others, then it'll be less likely to listen to you. If you have a different background, then they will be more likely to listen to you. As an example, later on we will find a gym leader. And this gym leader ends up being a player character as well. The gym leader has a much higher command stat than Frankie. So the duo continue onward, now with a Marill. Frankie seems very confused and is most likely trying to figure out what is going on. Again, these are player characters, so I don't exactly know what they're thinking. But since I was the DM for this, I can only get my own side. The zoo itself was situated in New Bark Town, which ended up being New Bark City by the time the events of this game transpired. As they continued on to Cherry Grove, they've noticed that it too was futuristic, just like New Bark. New Bark had a very clean look. Tiles, porcelain, chrome, all of this stuff. Very standard, stereotypical futuristic. Cherry Grove was very similar. Everything was very neat and tidy. Tiles lined the walls and floors. And a lot more excess was made out of chrome. The duo decided then to continue northwards, since Cherry Grove on its own didn't have too much to offer. They then wander into Violet City. Violet City, however, is not like any of the other towns. It wasn't nearly as pristine, futuristic, or anything of the sort. It seemed much more traditional. Buildings seemed worn down. The temples were still there. But one building seemed to contrast all of this and revert back to the other two towns' style. And that was the gym. They decide to go into the gym, and they meet the next player character. This player character, Kaido, is the gym leader of Violet City. But as the Pokerus outbreak prevented a lot of people from even being able to train Pokemon, he's been out of a job, essentially. Although he'll still keep getting paid as long as he's in the gym. There aren't any challengers. So of course, he hops in on this idea. Some new people that come into Violet to challenge him. They go into a battle, and Frankie ends up winning. As Kaido is a bit lonely in Violet, he decides to go with the group. Yucca, however, being the only non-playable character, heard about a professor that was stationed in Violet. As the duo of player characters decide to wander through Violet, looking around, they eventually did run into Elm, and he was more than happy to take Yucca in. From there on, Elm and Yucca were continuing their studies, learning about what this Pokerus thing is. That's when our new duo, Frankie and Kaido, wander into Bellsprout Tower. Now, Bellsprout Tower was maintained throughout the years. It wasn't built over, nothing was added to it, it was just maintained. The Bellsprout monks, however, got much more cult-like and framed their religion, I guess, as something much more touristy. Touristy might not be the best word for it, but they tried to make it more friendly. They hand out brochures at the front. They try to get you into timeshares. All the works. So they climb up Bellsprout Tower, taking out all of the Pokemon along the way. Keep in mind, Kaido's starter Pokemon, if you will, was an Electabuzz. So our current team is a Marill and an Electabuzz. They travel up the tower until they reach the very top. And this man is very proud of his religion, I guess. And they fight him. With the victory in hand, they have been rewarded with Bellsprouts of their own. These Bellsprouts, while looking just like regular Bellsprout, definitely have something magical within them. And on that note, to make sure I don't have the most editing to do in the world, and considering this is my first time doing this and I do want to continue it, I will end it here. I'll send this video off to the buddies that were involved in the game, and hopefully they'll have some good input. The player that plays Frankie is an artist, and she's been making a lot of art for this campaign as well. So whenever possible, whenever applicable, I will add in some of the art. I appreciate you being here with my fireside chats. Until next time.